So, folks, here we are in, well, it's not officially called Nirvana, but it's one of those places to me that's heavenly, and I have particular reasons for that. All museums are wonderful, but when you can go to a museum that is literally about a mile from where my wife grew up and where we still have her old home, her parents' home, that we inherited, and this is a special place because I was married here too. So I may visit the church I said I do in as we go along, but we're here with Kevin at the Orwell Corner Historic Village, right? And unless I get that wrong.
Yep, we are in the Orwell Corner Historic Village. Thank
goodness, or else the spirits of my father and mother-in-law would descend down upon us and go, how long have you known this place, Paul? So this is a wonderful recreation of what life would have been like in the 19th century.
Yes.
Tell me a bit, because I know my mother-in-law, when she was still alive, was on the board here, I think, and my father-in-law dragged me up here once to help clear brush or something. Used to do some work around, but tell me a bit about the museum itself, how it came to be, how it's tied into the community to people like my parents-in-law, and sort of the 411 on the Orwell Corner Historic Village.
Okay. A lot of the buildings here at Orwell Corner are original structures. The old roadway went up between the church and the school here, and the crossroads went down alongside the general store and the blacksmith shop. That was the road to Charlottetown. We have guides in all the buildings, so they'll talk about the building itself, the history of the building, and do a little lesson if they're a school teacher, and just show the different way of how school was back then and how it is today. This was the one-room school house where schools now, you have a classroom, grade room, one has a classroom, grade two have a classroom. Well, they were all in this one room, so the teacher had to teach all grade levels at that time.
Bobby, I know you're like only 8, and we'll get to you, but I'm talking to Ted, and Ted needs to learn something, and he's like 15. And so you have all sorts of different lessons and everything. He knows how to add, you don't, sort of thing.
Yes.
So multitasking teachers.
Lots of challenges, I'm sure, for the teachers.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Now, would the kids in the community, do you know, have gone to school? Like when I went to high school, you'd go all the way through to grade 12, 18, then off to college, or wherever it is you wander off to. Would they have gone all the way to 18 here, or would they in the 1890s sort of get a basic education and then move on to the trades that they might have been doing?
They would have just got a basic education and then moved on to the trades.
Right, like blacksmithing
or farming or carpenter work and whatever, the wheelwright.
Oh, okay, wheelwright. My father-in-law would have been, no, you just stay in school, son. You're not going to do very well on the farm. Trust me, folks, did not go well when I tried to help him out. So, so you see, the kind of period things, 1890, Queen Victoria, very dour and serious, staring over Your Majesty, staring over our head, looking down on us, wondering why I'm dressed like this in the 1890s. But you can see the benches, the desks and everything. So it gives a real idea of what life would have been like 120 years ago.
Yes.
130 years ago. Paul flunked math. Paul didn't do well in math 131 years ago. So animals. Can folks come here and see animals as well? Do you have horses and that sort of stuff?
We have a working farm here where we have horses that demonstrate our farm collection, how farming used to take place before there were tractors. Horses had to pull the farm machinery. And they demonstrate that. They also demonstrate how transportation used to take place. So we have a carriage and we'll take visitors for a ride down the road. We usually go down to the McPhail homestead, which is about 1 kilometer. So they'll go for a 2-kilometer ride and get a real feel of how travel used to take place.
Right, because it's still a dirt road down to the McPhail homestead.
It is. It's a designated heritage road, so it hasn't had changes. So people can really see how the roads would have been and felt how it was to travel.
And so the general store, it's kind of like Little House on the Prairie general store in the sense that the storekeeper in the storefront is out front, and then they lived in the house, which is sort of attached to it.
Directly attached.
Okay, we'll go take a look at that.
And the Clark family who ran the general store, they rented part of the house to a dressmaker, so up above the general store is a dressmaker shop.
So really giving folks a look at what rural life in small villages would have been like in the late 19th century on Prince Edward Island.
Yes.
Okay, well, cool. Thanks very much, Kevin. Oh, you know what we should do first? Animals. Because everybody loves animals. Almost everybody. I love animals. Spoiler alert, folks, I already know the answer to this question. I got my time machine, my TARDIS, and traveled forward in time to see that we're going to go look at some goats, right?
Yes, we are.
And folks, I'm just going to let you know, you have baby goats, kids. You have little.
Yes, we do. We have 4 little kids.
So does my sister. So we are about to, if this is the cuteness meter when I'm on the screen, folks, pretty low, we're about to ratchet up the cuteness meter to 100 on Maritime Museums because we're going baby goat and maybe mama goat too, and we're going to see them in action. So yeah, let's go have a look at that, and we can learn not only in school, where I obviously need work on my math, but just by walking through the entire historic village that you guys have set up, and the whole place is kind of like a school.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Well, this is a test that I'm going to pass, even though I've started off poorly with the math. Thomas is good, but Azalea, that is an A++ on, I mean, like, seriously, that's a pitcher of milk. Holy cow. That is, oh, actually, holy goat. So Kevin, here we are, and while we're right into it, that's Thomas down there, and thank you, Thomas, for what you're about to show us. I'm a little thirsty, but I'm not sure. I'm unpasteurized goat milk thirsty, but tell us what we're seeing here. I think the folks at home know what we're seeing. We're seeing a goat milked, but if you come here to the village, is this one of the activities that folks would be able to watch?
Yeah, this is actually one of the activities that we offer to tourists when they come in school groups as an experiential activity. We'll let people try to milk the goat. The goat's smaller than a cow. We have cows here at Orwell, but the goat's a lot safer if it decides to kick when you're milking it. And
right.
This is showing visitors when they come. We're able to show them how milking was done before automated machines.
Yeah, I love milk, but you can see the goats, like, every now and then the leg lifts, and it's like, hold on. But this is how people got their milk back in the day, as the kids say.
Yeah, it would have been a chore that kids would have done.
Oh.
It would have had to been done twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening.
So do the goats need to be milked?
They do. Right. If they're not, she had 2 kids, and the kids nurse off her, but usually they'll pick one side, and that's called a quarter. So a goat has 2 quarters, where a cow has 4 quarters, and I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up, but 1 quarter is really small, and 1 quarter that Thomas is milking there now is huge. So
yes.
The 2 kids haven't nursed off that one at all. And if you don't milk it out, it'll eventually dry up and it won't produce milk anymore. So
right.
To keep it working, you have to milk it. And they'll get sick if you don't milk them out as well. They'll get a condition called mastitis, so they need to be milked.
Right. I assume there's a right way to milk and a wrong way to milk.
There is. It looks easy. Thomas is our second-year student here, and he's learned to do it quite well. When you're squeezing, you have to squeeze off the top part and use your lower fingers to squeeze the milk out through the bottom.
Right. And if the goat's not happy with the way it's going, the goat's going to let you know.
The goat will let you know.
Yeah. So there's other animals in here too, as we continue to watch the milking process. There's some pigs just over there.
Yes.
And there's, if the camera moves at all, and it hasn't, Mark, my director of photography, is gold. But you know what? Even Mark might have to shimmy a little bit because there's baby goats all over the place. So you guys have 4?
Yes, we have 4 kids.
Kids,
baby
right.
goats. We have 2 dairy goats. One's a Tottenberg, the one that Thomas is milking. That's the breed of it. And we have an Alpine.
And so this is Azalea, I think,
Yes,
right?
Azalea and Calypso's
Calypso's the
over
other goat.
in the other side. So we have a pen of pigs here as well, 4 pigs, and we have some chickens running around the grounds. We have some cows out in the pasture. We have some turkeys. Also, they're free range. They're out on the grounds, and that's how they would have typically had them back in the earlier years. Same with the poultry. All our poultry's free range.
So the cows, are they dairy cows or beef cattle?
There's one dairy cow out there, and then there's a crossbreed steer. He came from Nova Scotia. At one point, he was used as an oxen.
Okay.
So he's part Holstein and part Shorthorn. And there's two calves out there as well. And we don't milk the cow. The cows, the 2 little calves are nursing off the cow.
Right. I just like every time, if I was milking the goat, every time the leg would go up, I would be out the door. I'd be like, oh, no, not happy. But Thomas is cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
And a little pet, reassuring the animal kind of thing. This seems much more humane than sort of a mass-produced milking machine kind of thing, at least for the animal. It's like, oh, take it easy, we'll be fine. She seems to be well-behaved and sort of used to it all. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff that folks will see when they come here, which is a working farm.
Yes.
From what period are we talking about?
Around 1890 is the period we represent.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Thomas, who's doing a fine job, and Azalea, who's doing, most of the work. No offense to Thomas. Thomas is good, solid A-, but Azalea, that is an A++ on. Seriously, that's a pitcher of milk. Holy cow. That is, actually, holy goat.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Let's go take a look at, I think you were going to say there's some horse action potentially going on with some...
Yeah. We have a team of horses here that we demonstrate our farm collection. Their names are Urban and Tartan. One's 15 years old and the other's 14 years old. And we have a working collection that we demonstrate throughout the summer, depending on what needs to be done. And when the horses aren't demonstrating the working collection, they do wagon rides for visitors that come. In the springtime, we have some sheep that we get here for the summer, and we usually ask for some lambs that need to be nursed. So we'll use the goat milk and bottle feed the lambs, and visitors are able to partake in that as well.
So 2 things before we wander off. 1, Azalea, hubba, you're still going. That's a lot of milk. And 2, I feel like I'm in a Brian Wilson Pet Sounds outtake with all the animals sort of behind. Anybody who knows the Beach Boys classic album, The Pet Sounds, knows what I mean. But you get the chickens, you get the goats, the pigs, everything going on. Sort of a wonderful backdrop to watching this activity. So to the crew, lunch. So the whole trip through PEI, folks, has been the Paul is speechless trip. Every museum I go to, somebody's left me speechless. There you go. You just left me speechless. My wife's going, I wish I could do that. So the last time I was in this building, standing next to a woman, I got married.
Perfect.
Right up there. So check the acoustics. I do. Yes, I've said those words in here before. I actually had to say it twice because I sort of stumbled the first time. I'm not here with my wife this time. I'm here with Jaden. Thank you for chatting with us a bit, Jaden. Now, I got hitched here without knowing too much about the history of the church, even though I sort of know the history in general of Orwell and Orwell Corner. So you're going to fill me in on what maybe I should have known before I got married here. Was it a Presbyterian church?
Yes, it was. This is a largely Scottish community, so they brought the Presbyterian practices over with them.
Right.
They did things a little bit differently than most other churches would do. They decorated a little They didn't really decorate at all.
No,
But they decorated a little bit differently. They practiced a little bit differently. They were separated for a reason.
Right. So one of the things, the Presbyterian Church, I vaguely recall, merged, I think, or large portions of it with the Congregationalists and the Methodists in the early part of the 20th century. Yeah, I know folks at home, my old professors at university will go, Paul wasn't paying attention, but that's the gist of it, guys, to form the United Church.
That's right.
But one place where you can still see Presbyterian churches in action is on Prince Edward Island. This one has been decommissioned or
Yes, it has.
desanctified, I guess, but there are still functioning and working Presbyterian churches here that are not part of the United Church.
Yeah.
So that Scottish history and ancestry and sense of independence survived the union, well, not survived, but sort of continued on after the union of the churches with other denominations. So it was sort of a quirky little nice piece of Prince Edward Island history. So this church in particular, though, do you know how long it's been here?
This church was built in 1861.
Wow.
So it's been here a very long time. It was actually the first building to be built in Orwell. The original church was quite small. So this whole back section here where it expands, that was actually added after the fact in 1891 to make room for choir loft, the organ, which they did not originally have, and as well this fancy little stage
Oh.
that you got married on. Look,
No,
perfect.
didn't get married on the stage, got
No?
married in front of the stage.
In front of
but
the
then we
stage.
walked up to the stage and signed the bookie thing, whatever
Perfect.
it is. Yes.
Well, you were on it once.
I was on it and signed something. I don't know what it was. Signed your life away. No. Oh, gosh, my wife is probably watching. Signed my life away in the best possible way. 2 candles uniting into one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Pick your words very carefully.
Yes, that's right. Pick my words very carefully. That's, I think, what my best man said just as I was walking in, which for me was great because my wife is from Orwell. They lived, we still have a house just up the road. So her mother and her father were involved in the community here and also here at Orwell Corner. Tell me a bit about the kind of people, the community that the church was servicing. So was everybody, was this the center of activity on a Sunday kind of thing? Folks
Yes.
would come here. How did a Sunday work for folks?
So especially in such rural communities,
Yeah.
Well,
Let me tell you,
this
folks,
was-
I got married here, and I can tell you, mosquitoes.
Awful.
It is part of rural life that you're going to get mosquitoes
Sadly, it
flying
is.
around. So don't worry about this. We walked away from our wedding with mosquito bites. It happens.
So in a rural community, the only time you'd ever get together in a big group was on Sunday. It was the day to show off. It's where the term your Sunday best comes from.
Right.
So you would spend the whole week getting your Sunday best ready for Sunday to go show off to your neighbors to make them look, hey, I got money, even though I really don't. I saved up for this shirt for 10 years, like kind of stuff.
Right.
They would take their best carriages, their best horses, and they would sit in any seat that they could afford, which is funny to think that they would have to rent out their seats.
Pew
which-
rents.
Fun fact, they did have to rent their seats in this particular church. All these pews, they have their own numbers, and you would pay 50 cents to $2, anywhere in between there, and you would get to keep your seat. But if you didn't pay, you would have been put in a less desirable section of the church. So if you pay the $2, you get front row, obviously. And if you pay the 50 cents, you still get to pick your seat, but it's
Right.
not the best seat in the house.
And we could go into a really long about the Protestant work ethic and how religion became tied up with capitalism. And as a sign of God's favor, Protestants in particular, and that's why they call it the work ethic, would say the more money you had, it meant God favored you. So how did you get more money? Well, you worked harder. And so this means you should go out, work harder, try and earn more. You would have more money, and that is a sign of God's favor. And hence, again, some old professors of mine are going, you've really condensed it there, kid. But that is, the genesis of the Protestant work ethic. And a lot of that traces back, frankly, to Scotland and the Presbyterian Church in particular, because the Scots were a very industrious people. Now, you might not know this because we're deep into the theological weeds here, but when this church was formed, would it have been a Calvinist sort of Presbyterian church? Yep. There you go. So I don't know. I can look
A
that
little
up.
out of bounds.
I can look that up because it's a question of free will or predestination. So the Calvinists, which was again a Scottish kind of tradition, but Protestantism hived off into two things: free will. Hey, look, we can all be saved as long as we accept Christ as our Savior. Yay. Predestination. I used to teach classes when I was in grad school, and you'd take a look at the undergrads and say, look, there's 35 of you in the class. Here's how predestination works. You, sitting there, yeah? You could be the worst person in this room. You're going to heaven because you were picked before you were born. The rest of you can do all the good things you want. Tough luck for you. And they went, well, that's a terrible system. And I went, yes, that's why they came up with free will, because nobody wanted to be those 35 people over there. So yeah, okay, sorry, theological weeds. Poor Jane's like, I can't believe she said yes. So, as if this is what he's talking
I mean,
about.
I am in no place to judge your wife.
No, that's true. No. So the whole trip through PEI, folks, has been the Paul is speechless trip. Every museum I go to, somebody's left me speechless. There you go. You've just left me speechless. My wife's going, I wish I could do that. So Sunday best, folks would come. Now, was this the center? Like, would folks come from other communities like Kinross and Ewig, or was this just Orwell and?
Yes, they would. They would come if whichever one was closer, really. Right. Originally, we were part of the Belfast congregation, which meant that we shared a minister amongst 3 other churches.
Right.
So occasionally, we would have to travel out of Orwell to another town to attend church, and occasionally they would have to come see us. So at that point, you would travel a lot to go to church. However, later on, when we were a bit bigger, had a bit more money in the pockets, we were able to afford our own minister, and then we didn't have to travel nearly as far or as often to attend our church services.
Right, and you can still see that in rural churches even today. You might see like services held here on this Sunday, like the 3rd Sunday of the month, but on the 2nd Sunday of the month, they'll be held here.
Yeah.
And that happens, I know, on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, for instance. I have an Anglican minister friend. He used to pastor churches, and sometimes they do more than one service a day, but I think they would also like here and then here next week. So they still move around because there's more churches and more communities than you can find pastors for.
Yeah.
Or priests if it's Catholic. Well, thanks very much, Jane. It has a wonderful acoustic ring in here, too.
It does.
So,
the choir would have sounded wonderful.
Oh, so they would have had, right, of course, they'd have a choir and they'd be singing hymns and everything.
Yes, they would.
And my father-in-law, rest his spirit, is probably looking down on me right now going, yes, young man, you're supposed to dress up when you go into church, and you probably should shave and you shouldn't be wearing a hat. But it's a decommissioned church, right?
Yes.
Sweet. So I get a pass.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Oh, you had that look for 2 seconds like, no, you're not getting a pass.
I'm not going to make you take your hat off.
Oh, yes, thank you. I like her.